a complete rewiring of the mind, the body, and the core beliefs to be in alignment with the higher self. Welcome back to Mystery of Metanoia. In our last discussion, I talked about my personal journey from Reformed theology to a more mystical and esoteric view of the Bible. Towards the end of that discussion, I introduced the idea of the higher self, and that's what I want to talk about today. So, what is the higher self? Well, to me, in my view, the higher self is the totality of our divine potential. It is the unique imprint of God that He placed in our soul. It encompasses so many parts of ourselves, our strengths, our gifts, our talents, our desires, and so much more. The truth is that most of us don't really know our higher self all that well. We've gone through difficult childhoods and we were tossed into this world of culture and chaos, and we had to find a way to fit in. And so we developed an ego, a personality, a compromise between the self and the outside world. And oftentimes people become overly identify with this personality. And if that personality, if that ego is out of alignment with the higher self, the true self, then there's inner conflict that is going to constantly be happening within the individual. So how can we discover more about our higher selves? Well, through self-knowledge. That's the main way. It's the only way, honestly. We have to do inventory on ourselves and discover what it is that God placed within us and why He put us here. What is the purpose for our life? I believe that our purpose to grow and evolve and blossom into everything that God designed us to be. And that's what the higher self is to me. It is the realization of all that God intended for us as an individual to become, as a child of God, what unique portion of the divine essence we have to embody into the world and the kingdom in service to our fellow brothers and sisters, right? So that's the higher self, and the road to discovering the higher self is through self-knowledge. And there are many avenues, techniques, and tools that we can utilize to dig down into the depths and underneath the layers of ego, trauma, conditioning, and personality to discover the true self, the higher self. And so on this channel, I'm going to be giving loads of tools, techniques, and just information generally about how to acquire more knowledge about yourself, personality, temperament, things like that. There's just so many different ways, meditation, contemplation, and then there's psychological exercises and activities that we can do to have discussions with our inner child, and the different aspects of who we are and what we've been through in life. So most of us, as adults, we have lost touch with our inner child. Being an adult is not easy in this world. There's so much weight and responsibility and pressure on us to perform and provide and to play a role in this world. And oftentimes that it's just so far out of alignment with what our soul is telling us we're here to do. And so that's what I believe metanoia is all about, really. It's about dying to the false self, the egoic self that was created really and truly to protect yourself, and that gets malformed in so many different ways and manifests as pride and fear, and so many different things come through that malformation of ego and the false self. But I believe that we're here to pull back those layers, release them, and be reborn as who we truly are, our true self. So a detachment from the egoic self and the desire to cling and to control and manipulate and to serve self, into the rebirth of the higher self, which is here to serve others and to give of the divine essence that God instilled inside of us. So as adults, we lose touch with the inner child and the true self, and so it's very difficult to hear that voice and to even know how to listen for it. Because especially as men, we get very good at suppressing feeling and repressing and just pushing that stuff down and just, pushing through. And that's the exact way to lose touch with your true self. It's by pushing down the things that are rising up from the unconscious. And so we have to start listening to ourself, our true self that is trying to come out. When we deny, disown, and repress our true self, it becomes our shadow, and that the shadow can be a very dangerous and hurtful thing to ourselves and to other people. And so it's very important to come to an understanding of your true self, your false self, your shadow self, so that you can begin to work from a place of conscious understanding, instead of being pushed and pulled by the inner conflict of this misalignment and this tug of war of hurt, pain, and feelings wrestling around inside that catch us in our weak moments, and we fall into sin and self-destruction and even destruction of others. We go through the process of healing and rewiring and restructuring our mind consciously, from a place of self-knowledge and understanding, with the aid of the wisdom of the Bible as our structure and our boundaries and our guidelines. Within that framework, we do this inner work of self-knowledge, and we begin to realize that through the lens of our pain and our false self, we have interpreted the entire world around us. And that is where our illusions are birthed from, is through interpreting the world through the lens of hurt, fear, pain, and all sorts of untrue lenses or distorted lenses. And so we interpret the Bible, we interpret who God is through the lens of the false self. And we focus on certain aspects of God that reassure our false self and our false perceptions and illusions, and we judge ourselves and we judge other people harshly because of these false perceptions and lenses and interpretations. But not only are we seeing the outside world and God and people through distorted lenses of illusion, we are also seeing ourselves through these distorted lenses. And we have developed core beliefs deep down in the depths of our psyche that really and truly are the focal points of these lenses. If we can dive down to the depths and discover the truth about who we are, our shadow and our unconscious and our true self and our higher self, we realize that if we are going to pursue embodiment of the higher self, then there has to be some major changes done deep down in the psyche, because these false core beliefs that we developed through our childhood and through religious conditioning and through, school and all of the different forces, all the different traumas and experiences and pressures that we feel in life, they have really, without us knowing it, developed core beliefs that are basically running the show from the darkness. And so once we can discover what those core beliefs are about how we view the world, view God, view the Bible, and view ourselves, it's a moment of pure awakening and enlightenment, and it can be terrifying. But on the other side of the difficulty of discovering these things is the journey towards embodying it, and that involves healing. It involves growth. It involves a complete rewiring of the mind, the body, and the core beliefs to be in alignment with the higher self. Changing these beliefs to align with our higher self is absolutely essential to fulfilling the role and the call that God has placed on our life, the purpose that we're here. And until we do this inner work, we are always going to be suffering inwardly from internal conflict, from being out of alignment with who we are and having these false personalities that are just they're not right, and they are contributing to all sorts of pain and judgment and all of the negative things in our life that keep us stuck in cycles and patterns. We truly can be reborn and experience metanoia, a radical transformation of the heart and the mind. We can get our mind and our body in alignment so we can stop the inner conflict. It's really, truly possible, and that's what Christ came here to reveal to us, is that our psyche has been fractured and there is all this inner conflict, and he came to bring wholeness and healing. And that's what salvation is. Being saved isn't about being rescued from torture. It's about being healed and made whole so that we can be Christ on earth, so that we can embody the fullness of the divine higher self. I'm going to touch so much more in depth on this and how we can embody and heal our wounds and our higher self in future episodes, and I'm going to talk about so many wonderful ways to discover who we are, and I've just got endless amount of ideas and things in the works. And so I hope you'll continue to stick around. I really am blessed to have every single one of you here watching me. Stay curious and keep searching for the higher self, the self that God created you to be. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.